What's going on, America? Just when I thought it couldn't get any better, we have another Democrat questioning Kirstjen Nielsen concerning illegal immigration. And this one, they try all the tactics, okay? Hank Johnson went with the whole you don't care about them because you don't view them as real humans, slash, think about the kid whose father made the choice to bring them on this trip that passed away. We had the other guy, he tried his little tactics, and now this guy's going to go religious on us. So, y'all ready for this one? Let's see, here's the crazy part about this. I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe in the Bible. And when I talk about politics, I rarely bring up the Bible unless I'm having an open conversation and somebody question me about it. Because see, what that does is people who don't use the Bible as a reference is immediately going to disregard your argument. And well, I don't believe in the Bible, so you can't quote that to me. So instead, I choose to approach it from a practical, analytical, logical, reasonable approach instead of trying to manipulate people's emotions like this guy's about to do, who most likely do not even believe in the Bible and all the principles. For example, I guarantee you, after he makes this grandstand and use all these big old statements about Christianity and the Bible and all that stuff, if she was to flip it on him and say, okay, how do you feel about multiple genders? How do you feel about gay marriage? How do you feel about all those things? Well, yeah, But yet, want to get spiritual right now and try to slide in some religion, y'all. Almost preached a sermon. Y'all ready for? Let's go ahead and hear the sermon of the day.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Gutierrez, for 5 minutes.
Go ahead, Gutierrez.
Secretary Nielsen, the majority on this committee must think you're doing a fantastic job because they've ordered this hearing so that you could come before us and look tough and remorseless just in the time for the holidays. The remorseless secretary during the holidays. Christmas, as they like to make sure and specify. I suspect that if you still have your job, which seems to always be a big question, in 3 weeks, we'll see you.
Now, give me a minute. Woosah. Let me meditate for a second, see if I can levitate. Now, first things first. I detect a little sarcasm in this guy's voice and a little disrespect to a woman. I mean, he comes at her like, I'm sure that you come out looking tough for all your friends and they expect you to come out this way and this and that and, you know, to do your job. And I mean, if you have your job, I mean, it seems to always be, he's taking personal shots. He's now becoming unprofessional. And he doesn't want to deal with the topic, the issue. He's coming at it like I'm disgusted and I'm upset that I even have to be here in this hearing and ask these questions. Because see what you are? You're obviously an evil, cruel, wicked person who simply by doing your job to keep us safe and implementing laws that were put in place by Congress, you're now some type of evil, wicked human being that I can talk down to and be very condescending towards. And I hope everybody, whoever voted for this human, would watch this and say, I can never have a guy like that represent me. And I'm almost embarrassed for this guy that he's a U.S. congressman or senator. Let's hear more.
You still have the same sympathetic questions when you come back. I want to start by praising this administration and the role that it's had. Because there's one thing that this administration's done better than any other administration in American history, and that is lie. I still remember the first day when the press secretary came out and said this is the largest inauguration crowd ever in the history of America. Of course, everybody laughed because there were more people at other inaugurations. And
what does that have to do with anything? What does that
on a world stage, the UN General Assembly, he said he had accomplished more as president than anyone before him. And the world laughed because the evidence was plain to see that that just wasn't true. But specifically in the area of Homeland Security, lying has become elevated to an astounding level of mendacity. President Trump descended the golden escalators at Trump Tower to announce his candidacy by saying,
now, first things first. You come out here with your prepared speech And that's the I first decided that when I graduated from Harvard University, I decided to. All of that stuff. What is that? What is that? Huh? Are you trying to be deep and philosophical or relatable to people? I mean, if you're talking to some brothers in Chicago, they don't know what the heck you're talking about. Okay. But now you want to pontificate in front of these TV stations and cameras and use your time, which is only 5 minutes, to grandstand and bring up stuff that has nothing to do with Homeland Security, go down a whole dissertation of how you feel about Trump and all the things you claim he lied about and all this stuff. When lies drop out of Democrats' mouths like slobber, like they just can't control, drooling all over themselves. And yet here he is trying to give a lecture about lying, and now he's about to do some more of it.
Mexico was sending us the worst rapists, murderers. Then he said he was required to break up migrant families because of bad laws that the Democrats gave us. How about the one about Mexico paying for the wall? You want $5 million, and you want
so
$5
now,
billion.
Let's go back to this. He just told a lie. Because that is not what Donald Trump said. The Mexico's sending us rapists, this and this and that. What he was talking about, and I have to do this all the time, he was talking about how the government of Mexico is complicit and they know about the immigration problem and they're not doing anything to stop it because it's a way of them also getting rid of their worst population. Yes, some good ones come too, but he said they're also sending their worst. They're sending the rapists, murderers, drug dealers, and some are good people too. But that doesn't negate the fact that a lot of bad ones are coming as well. So this guy's trying to make it seem like Donald Trump just blatantly called all the Mexicans rapists, murderers, drug dealers, and said that's exactly and only who the Mexican government is sending. And they're not sending anybody. What he's saying is they're allowing it to happen. They're not doing anything to stop it. But hey,
And you want the American public to pay for it. Isn't Mexico supposed to pay for it? Wasn't that the campaign promise? That's just another lie. And all about the ones about the massive invasion via the immigrant caravan that would ruin America. How about when Trump said, good people among the Nazis and white supremacists demonstrating? That's how.
Two fat lies right there. First things first, it was a caravan, and if we didn't stop them, they'd be in America right now. Second lie, good people down in Charlottesville. Trump said there's some good ones in the crowd, there were some bad ones, but there was two groups that was acting a fool. The two groups he was talking about was Antifa and then, of course, the white nationalists. But that third group were innocent protesters for the First and Second Amendment that was mixed with white, black, all of them. And they were advocating for freedom of speech. They were not advocating for white supremacists. Thank God for alternative facts and news that people are able to present against the false and fake news. Okay, because when you show those interviews of people down in Charlotte who was coming up to police officers and saying, dude, black guys, dude, some people from Antifa just hit me, man, my head's bleeding. And the cops say, hey, man, they told us to stand down. We can't do nothing. So was the black guy a part of Antifa? He said, no, I wasn't with them. Or was he a part of the white supremacists? I doubt that. So that must have meant he was with the third group. Okay, but according to this guy, there was no third group. Trump was simply, he was validating the white supremacists. That's what he was doing. Lies. Ooh. Look at all these rumors.
Nobody was laughing, but the evidence was plain to see, and these are gigantic lies.
Gigantic lies.
I remember when the CHC met with your predecessor, your boss now, the former Secretary of Homeland Security, and he dropped a few whoppers himself. The most memorable for me is when he sat, I want everybody, because you weren't there, when he sat with the Hispanic Congressional Caucus in the Capitol in a room full of Hispanic members of Congress, most of whose parents and grandparents were immigrants that didn't speak English when they came here. And he said to us, and he looked us in the eyes and he said, the reason we can't have too many poor and educated Latinos in America is because they will never assimilate into American culture like previous waves of immigrants. Referring to the Irish, the Italians, and the region. I would not assimilate. The members of Congress, duly elected, would not assimilate. So we couldn't have more. He said that to us. It's almost as though we were invisible to him. Secretary Could told a room full of Hispanic congressmen and women that poor, uneducated Latinos, a lot like my mom and my dad, who didn't speak a lick of English, but you want to change the policy so that if you want to come to this country, you have to speak English.
Now, he done rehearsed this speech so much you hear him running out of breath. Hey, you want to change this policy? Okay, first things first. All right, when his mom and dad and all of them came, most of those people that were coming wanted to come. They were coming for the right reasons. I want to be a part of America. Okay, I'm coming here. Matter of fact, they were making sure their kids were learning English. There's like, we don't want to stand out. Same thing with the Chinese when they came. They would give their kids American names. And then you find out the real name is like Ma Fu Yi. Started off you in school like, what's your name? Bobby. You're like, Bobby? Yeah, American name, Bobby. What's your real name? Ma Fu Yi. You'd be like, what the heck? Well, they did that so that they could assimilate. It was important to a lot of those immigrants back then to learn the culture of America because they was coming to be a part of America. All right? Versus large groups of people who want to come and they know that right now, since we're all cultural appropriate, we're not going to force anybody to assimilate. If anything, we're going to change the whole culture to adjust to anybody else who comes in, kind of like what they're doing over in England. All right? Kind of like right now, you got to learn 7 different languages if you want to get a job to accommodate everybody else. But nonetheless, they're not even coming for the right reasons. How can you come for the right reasons if the first thing you do when you get here is break the law? See, his parents and grandparents didn't do that. They probably got in line and was welcomed in. These people are saying, we're going to come any way necessary and get there. And since you didn't even check us coming in the door, why should we even try to assimilate? I mean, right now, basically, we are just strangers in a foreign land and we got diplomatic immunity because y'all won't do nothing to us. If we do something bad, just run to a sanctuary city because y'all have a bigger agenda than the crime that we might commit, than the lives that might get taken by some of the bad ones that come over here. Y'all agenda is bigger than that. It's bigger than Americans. Let's see what else this idiot got to say.
Would never fit. And that their children could never acquire the position of members of the Congress of the United States in this democracy. A lie. Because it's happened time and time again.
To legal.
This is, you can't see the reality of modern immigration or contributions of anyone who came from countries other than Norway and other parts of Europe. It's as if you and the Trump administration are blind. You know what? It seems like you agree with Tucker Carlson that immigrants only bring danger and dirt and division. But I have to say the all-time record for lying in the face of all the evidence was a tweet you, Madam Secretary, sent out on June the 17th. And it says, we do not have a policy of separating families at the border, period. That's your Twitter account. That's what you put out. Yet you came here today to tell us exactly is your policy of separating families and children from their families.
See this lie? This is propaganda. I'm about to educate all of the people who's susceptible to this type of garbage, okay? While he's giving his full-blown dissertation and attack on Kirstjen Nielsen, okay, he's not telling you that there is no policy for separating children at the border. It's called the law, okay? It's the same law that will be applied to an American who violates the law. You separate the kid if a person commits the crime with the kid. What's wrong with this dude? And he's in Congress. Right now, he represents somebody in America in Illinois. See, that's the guy right there. I guess he can't properly interpret the law. And yet he's responsible for writing it and putting bills out and all this. No. I don't want this guy. I don't want this guy out there doing that. If he can't properly understand that there's no actual policy when it comes down to separating kids from their parents, it's the law of the land, meaning if you break it, whether you are an American citizen or somebody who hopped the border with your kid, we're going to separate you if we're going to prosecute you. So what she said was true. And he is now calling it a policy. See, he don't want to call it the law because guess what? Democrats don't deal in laws. They deal in gray areas and feelings. And so if you say policy, that makes it seem like it's more tailored just to y'all. Y'all came up with this. Versus it's a universal law that Americans are held accountable for, just like non-Americans. But you don't care about us, though. You care about all of the gentle woodland creatures who just come here for a better life. Forget your constituencies, right? And somebody voted for this guy.
Another lie. I don't have 45 seconds. I won't take them all. But it is repugnant to me and astonishing to me that during Christmas,
No.
I like to call them the holiday seasons to be inclusive, but during Christmas, because the majority always wants to just call it Christmas, that during Christmas, a time in which we celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, a Jesus Christ who had to flee for his life with Mary and Joseph. Thank God there wasn't a wall that stopped him from seeking refuge in Egypt. Thank God that wall wasn't there. And thank God there was an administration like this, or he would have too have perished on the 28th, on the day of innocence, when Herod ordered the murder of every child under 2 years of age. Maybe I haven't gone a lot to Bible school, but I know that part. Thank God. Shame on everybody that separates children and allows them to stay at the other side of the border, fearing death, fearing hunger, fearing sickness. Shame on us for wearing our badge of Christianity during Christmas and allow the secretary to come here and lie. Thank you.
Time of gentleman has expired.
And scene. Did y'all hear that sermon? That right there might be the clip of the day. All right. That one, I had to let y'all hear the whole thing. Okay. I bet you he was in the mirror all day practicing that one, brought in Joseph and Mary and them fleeing to Egypt. And thank God there wasn't a wall. Yeah, because we'd have never got Jesus. And if you guys are Christians, then you'll have to do what we tell you to do, not what the Bible says. It's what the Democrats tell you to do. All right. And yeah, he was right that he's not a Bible scholar. And he probably does need to go and properly interpret the scriptures because he's misquoting them and he's using the Bible as a weapon. And see, real Christians who know the Bible know that a person like that who will use it after just spewing lies out himself is a false witness. That's all that is. And then he's going to try to do what the devil does, which is mix truth with lies. So if you want to go biblical, bro, that's what that was right there. Mixing truth with lies. Shame on that guy. And anybody who voted for him, I hope you reconsider the next time. Now, you've been listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. That one was horrible. He was just garbage. Anyway, find me every Wednesday, 7:30, live in Kevin's Corner. Also, check me out on my live radio blog talk show. Links in the bottom. If you want to donate to Kevin's Corner, feel free. Links in the bottom to do that as well. Don't forget Extreme Tees. Link in the bottom. Check out the clothes. Put my name into the promo. Kevin. It will give you a 20% discount for the holidays. And don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. God bless you. See you next time in Kevin's Corner.